Morning, 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 everyone. I am extremely excited to do our first episode in Mind Your Property. So I am very much coming from a property side of things, and the fabulous Lee Roebeck, who is with us, our international guest speaker, no less. He is in South Africa. He comes very much from the mindset, and I've been working with Lee for 2.5 years now, and my life literally is unrecognizable. And I feel really fortunate to be able to have these monthly chats. So that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be having a monthly chat about mindset and how we can apply that to ourselves, because even if we even if we know that we're doing things wrong, it's not always easy to get those changed. So I'm really thrilled. So this is the Mind Your Property, and today we are looking at, are your property money beliefs holding you back? So if anyone else has these, I'm sure we all heard as a child things like, money doesn't grow on trees, and all of that, money's the root of all evil. We're going to be talking about those, and we're going to be laying those to rest and seeing how we can all work through to get those done. So that's a little bit of information about this room and how it's going to look on a monthly basis. So Lee, please introduce. I know you've been on one of my chats before, but I'd really appreciate if you could just give everyone a bit of a update on who you are, where you're from, and what you do.
Emma, good morning, and good morning to all of your listeners. Thanks again for having me online here. So as Emma stated, my name is Lee. The surname is Roebeck. I'm from Johannesburg, South Africa, and what I do is I help entrepreneurs remove money blocks and attract clients easily, and I work with entrepreneurs from all around the world, Emma being one of them. And these business persons are experiencing quantum leaps in their results because of the ideas that we teach, and we're going to get into some of those ideas here today.
Fantastic. So let's jump straight in then, Lee. So I know this is a one dear to all of our hearts, money beliefs. So for some, clearly that hasn't been a problem, because potentially, they have a very abundant life, but for others, there are, and in fact, I suppose whether you're abundant or not abundant, you have money beliefs, don't you? And it just depends whether they work for you or against you. So it'd be great, just give us a bit of sort of background, really, Lee, on the the premise behind that.
So, as many people know, you know this, Emma, we are a product of our environment. And, at the moment of conception, when you are created a little bit of self from mom and a self from dad, created the nucleus of you, there were beliefs programmed into your very DNA. And then also in your environment growing up, all of these beliefs around many different things, right? The economy, politics, money beliefs, what you're capable of, who you are, all of these things were fed into us. And money beliefs is definitely one of them. And like you stated, Emma, sometimes it's empowering. But for a lot of people, it's not empowering. And that's why you get third, fourth generation welfare recipients, because people are programmed with a poverty mindset and ideas like you mentioned, money is the root of all evil. Do you think money grows on trees? I mean, if you think about it, essentially, when you say, when you went and you asked your mom or your dad or your grandparents for money, and they said, do you think money grows on trees? Essentially, what they were telling you is money is hard to come by. And if that's fed to you over and over and over, that lodges itself in your subjective mind, in your subconscious mind, and it affects your behavior. It affects your relationship with money, your interaction. And that's two simple beliefs. There's so many others that we need to get into and we need to understand and pull out. If we're going to improve how much money flows into our experience, Emma, and how we look after money, and how comfortable we are spending it. In all of those areas, we have to upgrade our beliefs around money. If you are not operating with a prosperity mindset yet, we need to upgrade those beliefs.
Amazing. So just sort of diving a little bit more into this. So you sort of spoke about this could be like the 5th generation. So I was kind of thinking, so the way I think about it is, money's the root of all evil, or you see a rich person with a Porsche driving, well, supposedly somebody with a Porsche going by, and our whole family thing was like, they're a drug dealer. That was just like the number one thing. So it's kind of looked negatively, and for me, I still haven't got a really swanky car because I just have that in my head. I can't yet get over it. Not that I want one quite yet either, because we, family situation, and we have hay bales in the back of the car, but that's another story. But I do think people are going to look at me and just think poorly of me. So it is kind of like, it's not just the words though, is it? It must be sort of more than that. Is it kind of, I'm just thinking, so it's, I remember that we used to go shopping. My mum used to say, don't tell your dad if she bought me a nice outfit or something like that. And at the time I never really thought of it, but it's those little things as well, isn't it, I suppose?
So that creates guilt, right, around any sort of spend. So here you are sitting at 50, 60 years old, and you go and you buy something you like in a store, and you feel guilty about it. But it's because of those beliefs that were programmed as you were growing up as a little girl, Emma, that, you were made to feel guilty if you spend some money. Let's talk about the belief, common belief. We've all heard money being the root of all evil. That's probably the most misconstrued biblical verse ever, because if you go and you look at the verse, it's the love of money. It's not actually money, and people they've changed it to, money being the root of all evil. It's the love. So when you put money before people, you've got a problem, right? We want to love people and use money. Money is a very good thing in the right hands. Money is neither good or bad. Money is neutral. And money is an amplifier. So money makes you more of what you already are. If you are a bad person, money is going to make you terrible, because money is an amplifier. And if you are a kind and generous and compassionate person, money is going to make you a really good person, because money is an amplifier. It's neutral. It's neither good or bad. It's the love of money. So when we start putting money in front of people, we've got a problem. We're on a downward slope.
Amazing. And then, so obviously when we come in, I'm just thinking, the love of money. And I think, especially when we come into property, that's suddenly involving, huge quantities of money. And that can obviously sort of really stifle people. And I do see people, it's almost better sometimes, and this could be wrong, but, when people come and they need help, and I'm talking them through things, quite often, the ones without money, it's almost easier to be really creative, because it's kind of like, I don't have any money, so I've got to be really creative, and they can kind of go for it. And then sometimes those people go from like having no money to then having money, and then almost they feel a bit stuck, because it's kind of like, now I've got this money, and I've had that before. It's kind of like, now I don't really want to touch that money, because I'm so used to being very creative, and then when you've suddenly got a lump of money, it's a bit like, oh, I'm a bit kind of not scared of it, but I'm just really wary of doing the right thing with it. And that can be really over empowering. So it's opposite ends. I found that really, really kind of strange.
So once again, that depends on your relationship and your ideas around money. It truly does, because, a common idea people repeat to themselves is, how long is this going to last? When's the ball going to drop? It's almost like they start getting scared once the money starts flowing, because once again, the beliefs around that are incorrect. What if it grows? What if it increases in flow? What if you become more comfortable with it? What if you give more? You just need to start shifting your ideas around it, because it's really simply how we think about it. And we want to have a good relationship with it. You really want to have a good relationship. And to analyze your beliefs around money might take some writing. It might take some, poking some holes in some of the ideas that you currently have around money. But yeah, when people become stifled at a higher level of income, 10 to 1, Emma, it's due to the ideas or the beliefs they have at that particular moment with regards to the increase in money. So, only rich people have money, or, people are judging me because I'm driving a nicer car, the ideas that you kind of alluded to earlier, it's, and that's why having, a good mentor, having somebody around you, a mastermind around you that can point out those beliefs or can, have you see them from a different angle, is also so important or valuable.
And one of the things that was really key to me, and the comparison between what things looked like before and what things looked like after meeting you, was that I'd read all the kind of books and felt that I was implementing as well, but I wasn't really getting, I definitely wasn't getting the results that I wanted. And looking back on it, I can really see that there was, a lot of stress and a lot of issues. And I'm not saying that I don't have some of those feelings welling up in me, but I have different ways of letting them go and looking very, very differently. But one of the things that I've really enjoyed is having a kind of a structure and knowing that there is a way to change your results, which is kind of really clear to me, but also which was quite an aha moment, which I know seems a bit maybe silly, but was that, the results that you're getting are a direct reflection of what's going on in your head, basically. And that was just massive to me. So, for anyone who might not, and I can't remember, you'll probably remember, you're great at remembering, like, what is it? Something about your mind is a looking glass or something. Your external is basically a reflection of your internal.
Environment is but a looking glass.
You got it.
So there was a great teacher over 2,000 years ago that said, by their fruits you'll know them, right? The results always tell the truth. The results tell you exactly where your mind is programmed at. But we've got to be clear on the mind and how the mind works. So there's two parts to the mind, right? You have a conscious thinking mind, and you have, so that's the educated mind, the conscious mind. That's where we pile the books up. The subconscious mind is your emotional mind. It's the feeling part of your personality. Now, all of these beliefs around money and everything else, relationships, the economy, the business you're in, selling, that's a big one. The sales paradigm or the beliefs around sales, they're all programmed into this deep part of your mind, the subconscious. And 96 to 98% of what we do on a regular basis or habitually comes from the subconscious part of the mind. And this is the reason, and like you said, Emma, I've given you the tools to close the gap, because in the conscious thinking mind, you know how to do better. Like, people know how to make a sales presentation. They know how to overcome objections. They know how to close the sale. But that does not necessarily mean that they do it, because the doing part of your mind is the subconscious mind, and that controls your action. It controls all of your behaviors, your perceptions, and your results on the outside. So you've got to learn how to close the gap between what you know and what you actually do. And as you said earlier, it's done through a process.
And that's a huge one. I always say, and a lot of things, aren't they? They're easy to do, but they're also equally easy not to do. And for me, this whole thing of when we, when you recommended this kind of talking about money beliefs, I suppose a lot of it comes down to and therefore that gives you your results. And that's, you know, and thanks so much for clarifying that, because that was, you know, very much for me, actually quite, you know, personal, was really admitting to myself that I was in control of that, even though I didn't necessarily know at that stage how to change it. It was taking that responsibility, and it's a really hard thing to do, I think, to take that responsibility and know that it's only up to you. Only you can make those changes. And yeah, so it then comes down to, as you've mentioned before, potential analyzing. So what might people sort of start to do then? So let's say they're in a position, especially, you know, and you know, I come from a sort of a property side of things, but you know, they're really kind of struggling, and you know, they can't see a way forward, and the results that they're getting aren't what they want. Where might they kind of start when looking at this kind of money beliefs situation?
So what I'd suggest is that you take a notepad and a pen and write down the situation or the relationship you currently have with money. You know, there's never enough, living from hand to mouth, you know. Write down your relationship with money. Write down how much of it you earn. Write some of your beliefs around your ability to earn money. And, you know, you want to write it in vivid detail. And what you're going to do is then start pulling out non-productive actions, or basically incorrect beliefs within your current situation. Now, this is not being judgmental. Write it down in its entirety and try and look at it as an outsider would. And then once you've harvested or pulled out those beliefs or ideas, you then want to ask yourself, what would be more empowering, better beliefs to program into your subconscious, and then take another sheet of paper and start writing those empowering beliefs down. Or you could write that same situation down, but in the opposite. So in a positive light, you know, the situation the way you'd like it to be, you want it to be. And obviously you're going to start looking at replacing those beliefs. And then what you do, because there's one of two ways you're going to get an idea into your subconscious. I've already stated your subconscious is your emotional mind. One way is through an emotional impact, bang, loss of a job, loss of a relationship, loss of a loved one, 9/11 in New York City, negative emotional impact. Generally, it's negative, can be positive. Here in South Africa in 1995 with the Rugby World Cup, we had a positive emotional impact. But the way that you, Emma, and you know this because you've been through this, the way that you can reprogram the subconscious the other way, the second way, is through constant spaced repetition of the same idea over and over and over again. So you take that empowering belief, like money's a good thing, money's neutral, it's an amplifier, it makes me more of what I really am, you know. You want to get your ideas around your character, or you want to get your character straightened out before you start, you know, earning the big money, because money is going to amplify what's already there, like I said. And then you take all of these correct beliefs and you just rewrite them over and over, because when you were a little person, when you were a little gaffer, I don't know if I'm using the right word there, a little girl or a little boy, these ideas were told to you over and over. You know, do you think money grows on trees? Over and over and over. And through that repetition, it's planted in your subjective mind. So through the repetition, you now take control of it, as you said, and you replace it with something that's helpful, something that's going to give you the results that you want with regards to money. And, you know, just something worth mentioning here, Emma. Our parents, our grandparents, you know, our aunts, uncles, the people we grew up around, they done the very best with what they knew and had, you know. This subconscious program, this belief system, they gave us what they had. They didn't know better. And I say that respectfully. We cannot give what we don't have. And that's why I also, and this is something we've got to take extreme ownership for, you want to take control of those beliefs, because whatever beliefs you have in your subconscious mind, we tend to repeat those ideas and our little ones are listening. So if we want to upgrade their money mindset, we first got to upgrade our money mindset, because we cannot give them what we don't have.
Yeah, and that's so powerful. I mean, I feel really fortunate to have kids, because I think without them, they're like my driver. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's certainly something that has, you know, kept you going. I think sometimes if it's just about you and you don't have a great self-image, I think that's a real kind of uphill struggle. Whereas I find it, you know, with the kids, it's quite easy to kind of, you know, put them as that driver. So that's a key one. And in fact, I have had really very emotional times, and, you know, learned from you, Lee, when I've had people, you know, having a coaching or their mentoring and saying to them, you hear them, and some people really verbalize it, don't they? And they're just ripping themselves to shreds. Oh, I'm rubbish. I'm so forgetful. Oh, I've just been terrible. And they say the most awful words to themselves. And there's this one particular lady talking about emotional impact. And I literally, you know, I tried to be as gentle as possible, but I just said, you know, would you say, so just think about what you've just said to yourself. Would you say that to your child? Oh, it makes me a bit teary now. And she burst into tears. And it was, and we've talked about it since, and that was a real emotional impact for her. And that was just so powerful, but she hadn't heard herself. And when you know, so all of these things that you've kind of exposed me to, I've found, yeah, absolutely incredible. And I didn't know that. But going back to, you know, taking what is currently negative. And so, for instance, if I was just to say something like, because it's something that I'm thinking about a lot at the moment, because I have definitely a money mindset, which is you have to work really hard to earn a lot of money. And I'm really fighting it at the moment, because I'm working silly hard. And I know that it comes to a mindset. So with something like that, and we do it before, so just to, you know, clarify it. So with something like that, so I might say to myself, I know I work to earn a lot of money. You have to work really hard. So then I would just oppose that. So, you know, you're really great. How might you then word that to bring it into the opposite?
So just if I can tell a quick story with regards to that.
Yeah.
So my mentor that you know, Bob Proctor, the legendary Bob Proctor, he was on the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, a show called The Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. And during the break, the host and him were back and forth. And the host of the show was interviewing the world's most successful, wealthiest people. And him and Bob were going back and forth, and they were saying, you know, he was saying to Bob, out of all of these wealthy, mega successful people I'm interviewing, most of them don't seem to be working that hard, you know. And that once again comes to this belief that in order to earn a lot of money, you got to work really hard. Working is the worst kind of way to earn money. We should work for personal satisfaction, and we provide service to earn money. And you can be providing service while you're sleeping with technology. You can be providing service on the other side of the world while you're sleeping on this side of the world, you know. So that's an incorrect belief. That is a great example of an incorrect belief. So how would you replace it? Coming back to your question, Emma, maybe you choose a belief like money flows to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. Money flows to me in increasing quantities through multiple sources on a continuous basis. And you just keep rewriting it, keep affirming it. You might want to record it and have it replay. Maybe if you take a 10 or 15-minute nap, or you sit in and you're doing, you're not doing anything, pop your headphones in and let that belief play over and over and over. And regardless of what religion you subscribe to, or, any complete philosophy of success will all tell you, psychologists, psychiatrists, what you believe is true. So if you move that into your subconscious mind and you get it into a state of belief or where you believe that that's true, guess what's going to happen on your outside, right? And that's why you've got to go through a process like this. But that's what I do, Emma, is I'd look at it, I'd say, okay, what's the opposite? So what if money was easy? Like what if it was as easy as if it did grow on trees? You know, Napoleon Hill was one of the greatest success teachers of all time. And I know you've studied his work. He said when riches begin to come, they come so quickly and in such great abundance that one wonders where it's been hiding during all of those lean years. You know, money is truly about energy. And if you go back through the centuries, through history, you know, way back when the first coin was created, I think it was in Asia Minor in the 7th century. You know, people traded with spice and with precious metals and cattle, and you know, we really here in South Africa, I don't know about in the UK, but we really walk around with cash anymore, right? We've got cards or we've got Apple Pay, and you know, money is an idea, and it's responding to your beliefs about it. It's literally an idea, and it's all around. You know, if we're gonna increase the flow, if we're going to improve our relationship, we've got to shift our beliefs around it so we're in harmony with the money. You know, exactly what Napoleon Hill said, when it starts coming, comes so quickly and in such great abundance, you'll be wondering, but what's happened is you've gone, or you've become in harmony with the energetics around money.
Amazing. And yeah, Bethany's just done a great share. She said, I listen to money affirmations every night before bed on YouTube. So that's great. So for those of the world who are real left brainers like myself, everything's very kind of logical. And this is something that you push me a lot, because I do just live in a very logical world. I can see emotion, and obviously I have emotion, and I'm a female, so I am an emotional beast of sorts, but certainly there's a lot of logic in there. So my instant thing would respond to that with, well, okay, so if I haven't got an emotional impact and I need to be writing this every day, I mean, how long is it going to take me? What am I going to then, you know, I'll be starting to really question, you know, when am I going to get these results? How am I going to do this, that, and the other? What would you advise for somebody who's kind of really left-brained and maybe not so emotional on that side?
So, as you are wired, right, Emma, you know, I'm predominantly, or initially I was predominantly left-brain, analytical, logical. You know, we've literally got to get out of our head and into our hearts, because I've said the logic, you're using 2 to 4% of your power there. The subconscious emotional mind, you're using 96 to 98% of your power. So you want to get out of your head and into your heart. Now, there's many ways you can do that. One way, and this is a simple way, I don't know if I shared this with you before, Emma. I read a book. The title eludes me or evades me now. A couple of years ago. So the right hemisphere, which is your emotional, intuitive mind, controls the left side of your body, and the left side controls the right side. So what I was doing was I was rewriting my goal and my incantations or affirmations. Every day I had 10 of them. I'd rewrite them with my left hand, and I got pretty proficient. And that honestly helped me get more into the emotional side. We can do it with things like meditation. You know, gratitude is another tool that you can use, Emma, to connect with your emotional mind. You know, wake up every morning, write down 5 things you're grateful for. And not only do we want to write down what we're grateful for, but a good way to connect with your emotional mind would be to ask yourself, why am I grateful for that? You know, especially if you're analytical, you're logical, right? Like you are, Emma. You want to ask yourself, like, why? Why am I grateful for that? The why will connect you with the emotion behind it. And also, I don't care how left-brained you are, because my mentor, when he met me, he said, you are about 85% left-brain. And, you know, Bob Proctor had been studying the human personality for 6 decades at the time of his passing. I mean, you study something for that long, you become a master at reading, you know, situations and people. And he said you're about 85% a left-brain. Now, also another tool you could use, you know, if you've got a goal or an affirmation, don't just verbalize it and say it mechanically, you know, as us left-brainers do. We say things mechanically because your subconscious, keep coming back to this, is your emotional mind, and we've got to speak the language of our subconscious or the emotional mind, which is emotion. Like if I was speaking Mandarin or Taiwanese to you right now, you wouldn't understand a word I'm saying. You know, we've got to speak the language of the subconscious. We've got to speak its language, and it's emotion. And like, if you've got an affirmation, like let's say your affirmation is, I'm so happy and I'm so grateful that I'm earning 20,000 pounds a month. I'm happy, healthy, wealthy, it's done. Whatever the statement is, you want to say that with emotion. So I'm so happy. Like, what does happy feel like? I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. Thank you. You know, what does that feel like? And I promise you, if somebody is extremely left-brain as I was, can get it right to emotionalize words, I think anybody can do it. I hope that gives you or your listeners a number of tools in terms of what you were trying to achieve there, Emma.
Yeah, amazing. I mean, that whole emotional side of things, I know one of the things that we do is, like you say, is I say my goal out loud with emotion. I do it in the car while I'm driving. I look ridiculous. I can't imagine what other people would think, but it is one thing that you definitely notice is after doing that, you're literally like, you know, your vibration, I suppose, is absolutely lifted through the roof. And yeah, and that kind of activity as well, especially before I go on and do training, you know, you need to have you know, life and vibration and energy, and so I do kind of a emotional thinking, and I know before I've done a bit of meditation to sort of really prep myself up, and how I can really draw within myself to do the best I can to help those people that are there listening. And that's a really big thing that I love with you, is to always have that reminder of, you know, how you can help others. But anyway, I digress. So do you think, as a quick question, do you think, Lee, and obviously I take full responsibility for my life, but is it easier for those emotional people? Is it easier for them to make those changes? Is it quicker for them, do you think?
I'd say so. I'd say, you know, some people can emote very easily, or they can get emotionally involved with ideas much easier than a naturally predominant or left brain dominant person. So I'd say yes, but anybody can learn to become more emotional. And that's also part of the paradigm, right, Emma? That's also controlled by the paradigm. So, you know, often you'll find logical left brain people have very strong paradigms, you know, very, very strong. So we want to get to a point where we can accept ideas just like that. We can accept new beliefs just like that. But once again, we've got to learn how to wrap it in emotion and move it into that subconscious.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. And I think, you know, some of that emotional tie-up has definitely been a childhood thing. There was quite a bit of emotion that went on with my sibling, and I didn't really, it was always very volatile, and that seemed too much for me. So I just kind of closed that down. That just seemed to cause a lot of problems. So that was a useful mechanism. And it's interesting, isn't it, when you sort of look back on that. But what I'm seeing now, especially I've got a 7-year-old daughter, oh my goodness, the emotions that come through her. And it used to really kind of frighten me. It was just this, again, this huge emotion that would come from what seemed like nowhere. And then what was, it would like erupt like a volcano. And then suddenly the plug would just be put back on and it would be gone again. And that just seemed really crazy. But it's enabled me to kind of open my eyes to the emotion. And it's okay to have emotion. It's good to show that. And I know, and I think you had it somewhere. I know I've seen your video with Bob Proctor when he talks to you, but now I just thought you shouldn't show any emotion. So now, I wouldn't get angry. I wouldn't do those things. Now, and I'm not saying that, I want to go and do that publicly, but I now kind of allow myself a bit more to, have a few words, so to speak.
So, I mean, we've got to ask ourselves, where does that come from, right? I mean, I think most of us were, even if you are naturally left brain wired, we were a lot more emotional as kids. But when we get emotional, depending on the household you grew up in, your parents told you, it's not a good thing, stop throwing a tantrum, or, why are you feeling that way? You should be grateful for what you have, or, we were taught emotion wasn't a good thing, or you'd go through a relationship, something that really stung and hurt you. And we taught emotion, or we adapt that behavior. It's a learned behavior where we want to disconnect from emotion because it doesn't make us feel good. But I promise you, it's your power center. You know that, Emma, it's our power center. And if you are disconnected with your emotional mind, with that feeling part of you, you have to reconnect with it. Like it's literally your power center. So, yeah, we could use our kids like you, Emma, because for them it's natural, they're creative, they're naturally connected with the emotion. And you know what? You just made me think with regards to, our kids, instead of attaching a belief or an idea around what they're feeling, why don't we ask them, why are you feeling that way? Like, what made you feel that way? And, is that idea helping you? Instead of, just going in straight and trying to bring them in order, ask questions around it that would help them unpack the emotion. And I think, like you, it sounds like you experiencing with Rosabella, when we allow them to express their emotions a bit more, go a bit deeper into it, we also tend to go on that journey with them. So
that's really powerful, actually, because I did some coaching to be a coach for Touchstone the other day, and one of the things was asking questions. Obviously that's really key. And some of the things, it was like, it's really advisable not to ask these questions. And I was thinking, those are the questions that I definitely asked Rosabella. They were not, not beneficial, but it just comes from a place of, that's what I was used to doing. That's probably what I heard. And so you're absolutely right. I love that. It's now and again, this is a work in progress, but it's when she has an emotional outburst, and generally it's more tears. She's not an angry child at the moment. There's a lot of kind of tears and weeping and sadness and I'm sure there's frustration and things in there, but it's interesting to then consider those questions that you're asking. So I absolutely love that. And it's drilling down almost, isn't it? It's having that kind of understanding of what is behind it, and that's, I think, quite challenging. No judgment. And I'm not, I don't want to judge, but you naturally don't need, because of your own beliefs, you naturally associate something with that feeling. And it might not even be that. And it quite often isn't. And I think especially with kids, it just could literally be that they're having a burst of hormones and there's just an expression of emotion. It could be that something that happened months ago. I mean, I know as a child, I used to cry at the end of term over something that happened at the beginning of term. I mean, it was it was kind of crazy. Amazing. Sorry, did you want to say something?
No, I didn't have it.
Yeah. So amazing. So yeah, I love that. So we're looking at sort of taking those beliefs, verbalizing them, writing them down, having something opposite, and then rewriting them, and then sort of keeping going, so to speak. But is that, I know you talk a lot about kind of habits, and we spoke about things that are easy to do and easy not to do. What would you advise people? So I have my day book, and I absolutely live by this, and anyone who knows me, and in fact I can see people in the audience who've also got these day books, because I just love it so much. And it's got a place where I can, you know, where you can write your gratitude and your affirmations and yeah, all of those kind of things. But they're, like all of us, it might be like getting up and going to the gym, or getting up and doing something new. We'll be really on it for a certain number of days, and then it might drop away. What would you advise people at that stage?
So, I mean, accountability is key, right, Emma? You've got to have, because, you know, if you've got a personal trainer, likely you're going to wake up at 5, 6 a.m. in the morning, you're going to get to the gym. You know, we let ourselves off the hook. You know, I'll do it today, or tomorrow I won't do it, next week. You know, so accountability, Sandy Gallagher says accountability is our success insurance policy. So you want to identify your beliefs, and then identify what you'd like to replace it with, and then, you know, be accountable to somebody that you're going to rewrite that, or you're going to affirm that every day for the next 30 days. There are some of us listening to us right now that are very disciplined. You know I'm a naturally disciplined person. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll do it, right? So, but if you need help with that, you know, get some accountability attached to it.
Yeah, I love that. And in fact, I've already met, I can see that Joy is in the audience. I've already met Joy for accountability this morning, and I know we're all meeting this afternoon for further accountability. So Joy and I have got stuff to get over to Lee, to show that we have done the things that we're committed to. And what I find interesting with accountability is, you know, you often get people coming onto accountability calls, you know, and making loads of excuses. And I'm kind of like, I don't want to be around that kind of person, because inherently I understand if you see it as somebody else's issue, that's fine. But for me, I got to spend time with people who, you know, will call you out, or will help support. So I'm happy to come in and say, look, I'm really procrastinating on this. Has anyone got any thoughts around helping me? It's coming from a very different angle. Is it, do you think a lot of the accountability is down to just accepting that personal responsibility as well?
So, you know, and this is what a good mentor does. A good mentor calls you out on your bullshit.
Yes.
For lack of a better word, Emma. I mean, like, why would you come onto an accountability call and sell an idea on why you never done it? Like, we want to take extreme ownership, right? Like, because the thing is, like, if you don't do something you say you're going to do, what you're essentially doing is you're chipping away at your own self-respect. You know, if you say you're going to do something and you do it, your level of respect goes up. And you repeat that, you do it, your respect continues to grow. And, you know, the self-image, which is also part of the subconscious program, which lives in your subjective mind, that's how you see yourself. That's not the image that comes back from the mirror. It's how you see yourself inside. If you are disciplined and you are committed and you follow through with what you say you're going to do, your image or your idea of yourself is going to increase. And I promise you, you're just going to feel better. You know, people who go on like a 30-day, let's say, running a mile a day or 2 miles a day, if they go on a challenge to do that every day for 30 days, you know, at the end of the 30 days, they feel great. But a lot of people think it's got to do with what's physically happening. But I promise you, a lot of it has got to do with the self-image and how this thermostat, so to speak, or this image of yourself increases. And that's why you feel so good, is because your idea about yourself is elevating.
That's huge. I'm trying to remember now. This, I don't know whether it was you or whether there was a book, and it's really recent in the last couple of weeks, where somebody was saying that they they make they work on more belief in themselves and in telling the truth to themselves. So if they say, I'm going to be on time today, for instance, then they make sure they're on time, because then their subconscious or their being starts to believe them. Whereas if you constantly say to yourself, I'm going to be on time, and then you're late, again, that belief has gone, hasn't it? You're basically, you're not going to believe yourself. And that's really powerful. And I'd never really thought of that, because I definitely, oh my gosh, I mean, there's obviously a whole host of ways that I can improve constantly, but that truth, and I think that was a big thing that we've covered truth before, you and I, Lee. And I consider myself to be a very, very truthful person. You know, that's something that's a real value to me. But what I tell myself, I've realized, is not always truthful. Something so deep-seated as that.
So I think Earl Nightingale called it integrity, right? You've got to be in integrity with your word. Now, if you take into account that there's 3 different parts of your personality, I've been speaking about 2 now, the conscious mind, the subconscious, and the body, right? If you are telling yourself on a conscious thinking level, like, I'm on time, I always arrive 10 minutes early for every meeting, and through the repetition, through the rewriting of that belief, you move it into the subconscious mind, but your action doesn't align with it, what's happening is you're not in integrity, right? So, you know, initially, you might need to force the action on the outside, like you say, or you make sure that you get it done on the outside, but you just keep rewriting it, you keep affirming it. Eventually, that idea is going to settle or overpower the existing belief or idea in the subconscious that's creating that negative behavior. It's going to overpower it. And that's when you become in integrity with your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions. And all 3 of them line up. But most people do that, Emma. They say something and their actions are complete opposite. Like, on a conscious level, we all know how to do better. You know, if you're an entrepreneur, you know how to sell more, you know how to prospect, you know how to get in front of people and speak to people, but the action doesn't line up with it, right? So it's this lack of praxis. Praxis is the integration of belief with behavior. So you might have a belief on a conscious level, but you haven't integrated it with your emotional mind and your behavior, and you're contradicting yourself. And like I say, at that, you know, when that happens, you're slowly chipping away at your self-respect.
Yeah, amazing. So going back to our, as you said, you've got your you know, your money beliefs, and we're addressing them. We're looking at how we are now, how we want to change them. We're writing them down. I mean, again, sorry to be practical, but I mean, how long do you kind of recommend? Because I know that we talk about, and I always kind of laugh, I do recognize when that ugly head of the paradigm comes back up and tries to pull me back. So, I mean, I know, gosh, you and I know that I've got a number of affirmations that, well, I mean, the money one I've been writing for years, I suppose now, and certainly one other I would suggest, I'm thinking now, probably, gosh, I'm thinking probably at least 6-7 months now that I've been writing that. And it was a real battle, because my logical mind would you know, regularly sort of question it. And now I'm able to kind of look at it and really see that positive affirmation. So kind of timescales, what would you advise?
Totally depends on how quickly you can accept an idea or emotionalize an idea. It all depends on the paradigm, right? Some of us have a very strong paradigm, and it's going to push back. It's going to fight you tooth and nail, because the paradigm's job is to keep you comfortable, right? But the way to overcome that, or to overwrite it, Emma, is through, my view on this is to get involved in a elite level mindset coaching program combined with professional coaching, or a mentor who can point out. The mentor's job is to point out your blind spots. And that's the way to do it. Bob Proctor, who'd been working with people, like I said earlier, for 60 years, he says he hasn't found somebody who's done it by themselves in all of that time. Now, if you think of it, professional sport, top business people that are operating at an elite level, I promise you, if you go and you analyze them, you'll find most of them, all of them, have mentors or have people who have shone a light down their path and have, pointed the way to go. So it will take a while, but you've got to find the right mentorship. And also you've got to find someone who's demonstrated by results that they know exactly what they are talking about, because they can't give you what they don't have, right? So you want to find somebody who's demonstrated they know what they're talking about.
I like it. I like it. And guys, look, we've only got just a few minutes left. So if you've got a quick question, you can squeeze one in for Lee. But Lee, it would be great. I know that you, this is very generous of you to come and spend this time with us, as we're going to do for the month, each month for the rest of the year. But I know you also do webinars, and I can see that we've got a link here. Can you just explain what that is so that people can come and, hear, as I love your dulcet tones, Lee. Every time that I speak to you, I've written pages of notes already, because even though sometimes you've heard the things before, like we talked about, it's constantly repeating that, bringing it back to the forefront of your mind. So yeah, tell us about the event that you've got coming up.
So on Thursday, there's an event I'm running called Entrepreneurs Face Your Fears and Achieve Any Goal. And, if the ideas we've shared here have resonated with you, connected with you, during this hour webinar, we go much deeper in terms of the mind, in terms of overcoming fear, right? And the beliefs, these beliefs create fears that pop up into the consciousness. So how to overcome fear when going after big business goals so that you don't sabotage your success. Fear is the number one cause of failure. So how to identify that, that's what I'm going to get into. The webinar's on Thursday. It's at 10 a.m. UK. So on the 16th of March at 10 a.m. UK. Another idea that I'm going to teach on is I'm going to give you a strategy to achieve any goal that you've set, even when you don't know how. Now, that might sound a bit ludicrous, but the thing is, what I'm really going to teach on is the science behind goal achievement. So goal setting is an intellectual exercise. Goal achieving is a lawful process. It's a lawful process. And that's what we're going to get into on Thursday. I've delivered this particular content or this segment at BNI's global conference and to international audiences, and it's really the feedback that I've received from this particular presentation is it's really helped people. So if you've enjoyed these ideas and you're keen on learning some more, register, and I'll see you online on Thursday. Amazing.
And I think these things for me have been incredibly powerful. And as I say, I'm not I think my most because I can't say always, but most of the time I manage to kind of put my ego aside and be very honest in what I have achieved and what I haven't achieved. And certainly around the money beliefs, I've had some massive shifts. I continue to work on them, and now I love it when very expensive fast cars go past and I look at them and I think, wow, I wonder what amazing things that they've done to enable them to drive that nice car. Or I very much talk about it in different ways. And we don't talk about the the drug dealer anymore, which is a great one. And as you say, what for me, going back with the children thing is to enable your kids to grow up in that kind of different world, because you look at it differently. And I still laugh because I still think, well, I'm still going to be doing things that will be wrong for them, but I'm doing, again, exactly like our parents and our parents before and our parents before that. As long as we do the best we can with what we know, I think we've got the best thing. So Lee, I will leave it to you, if you don't mind, to do some closing words. And again, thank you so much for giving us this time. I really appreciate it, and I'm so excited about every month us having this meetup and helping others in the property world get a bit more mindful. So I'll leave it to you to shut up.
So maybe just in ending, I just like to say that money is a very good thing. You know, money just makes life more comfortable. You can extend the good you can do far beyond your physical reach if you have a lot of money. You know, a big emotional driver for me is family, not only my son, but my aunts, my uncles, my mother, you know, a lot of people around me that I really just want to help. And, you know, even if their beliefs around money is not serving them, which they still repeat at times to me, you know, we got to straighten up ours so the kids are left better off, and we can use money as a tool to help more people. It's really been awesome being here, Emma, and I too am looking forward to meeting up every month and sharing, you know, some value online. Hopefully these ideas have served you. And if you have any questions, you are welcome to direct those questions to us through Emma.
Amazing, guys. So this is on Clubhouse. It will also it's also live on Facebook, so you can come and find it on Facebook. The recording will be there, and it will also, hopefully by this afternoon, will be up on YouTube as well. So I will share that. So do please come and you know, follow us if you felt that this has been valuable content, and yeah, do come and find us on social media as well. So again, thanks a lot, Lee, and take care, everybody. See you next time. Thanks so much.